So as you guys probably know by now, AOC was covered on Vanity Fair, and it was really interesting because she had a really interesting comment in this Vanity Fair interview, and I'm actually going to read it to you. So this is from the article that includes some of her quotes. The article says, "Her aspirations are a matter of endless speculation. New York Senate, House leadership, a cabinet post. Quote, I don't know if I'm really going to be staying in the House forever, or if I do stay in the House, what that would look like," she says. "I don't see myself really staying where I'm at for the rest of my life." This is one of the few times AOC seems guarded and cautious about her words. "I don't want to aspire to a quote unquote higher position just for the sake of that title, or just for the sake of having a different or higher position. I truly make an assessment to see if I can be more effective. And so, I don't know if I can necessarily be more effective in an administration, but for me, that's always what the question comes down to." She does not believe in political messiahs, nor does she see herself as a hierarchical, power-based person. At the beginning of her first term, her staff still called her Alex. It was only when journalists on the Hill started to follow suit that her team collectively decided to address her as congresswoman. She blends into the crowd at Pelham Bay Park, even though she's the only one in a suit. When a nearby gender reveal party pops a blue confetti cannon, she throws her hands in the air and cheers. When I ask Presley what the popular narratives miss, she cites humility. She certainly did not set out to be an icon, or even a history maker. I think it was her destiny, but there's no calculation. As Ocasio-Cortez puts it, I don't want to be a savior. I want to be a mirror. So essentially, I guess she's really struggling with giving the answer here. It's obvious. Nobody stays in the House forever. Everybody moves up. Everybody, assuming you don't get taken out before you go up. People who start out in the House move up to the Senate. Maybe they run for president. They'll probably get into an administration, like Bernie Sanders is reportedly attempting to do right now with trying to be labor secretary. And so she's obviously not going to stay in the House forever. But I do find it interesting that she's really trying to avoid being this, quote, messiah, or this sort of careerism that currently plagues, I would say, the world right now, where it's, trying to get more power, right? It's not really about having meaningful change, but rather, I get to be president, or I get to be a senator. Think about what it means to be a senator of the United States or the president of the United States. It's insane, right? And so I guess she's trying to distinguish herself between she's not somebody who's simply aspiring for power, but rather wants to make change and wants to be more of the common person, which is really interesting. But obviously, she knows she's not going to be in the House forever. I think she's actually gearing up for a long-term presidential run. And so what I mean by that is I think eventually she's going to run for president. The way that she's been maneuvering herself seems to be somebody who is a progressive, who really believes in progressive positions, but is also attempting to be able to have support amongst the people, the corporate Democrats or Democrats who hate Bernie Sanders. So, your feminist ilk and those kinds of people, your Chrissy Teigens of the world. So it does seem to me like that pathway that she's taking, she seems to be the chosen one when it comes to that, because I don't see anybody else who is able to appeal to corporate Democrats and to be able to appeal to progressives. I don't really see anybody else being able to do it right now. There certainly does not appear to be anybody else. Now, at the point that she gets the nomination, the general election might be the difficult one, but, every year that goes by, the population becomes younger. Older people are dying off naturally, obviously, of natural causes, so also the population is becoming more diverse. So by that time that she actually runs for president, the general election might be the easy one. That might be the one that's really easy to get. Now, I personally believe she should actually challenge Kirsten Gillibrand in, I believe she's up for re-election in 2024. And so, she would have 3 House terms under her belt. Then she would get elected as senator, because I believe she should run against Kirsten Gillibrand because she's the weakest candidate. A lot of people want her to challenge Chuck Schumer. But the thing about challenging Chuck Schumer is I fear that it might be too difficult, and I fear that it might be too risky, because obviously he's, currently the minority leader in the Senate. And so it would be a really difficult challenge. And as we saw with Joe Kennedy, he lost his House seat and failed to win the Senate seat. So that leap is a big risk, right? It's a big risk. But with Kirsten Gillibrand, it's not much of a risk because truth is nobody really likes Kirsten Gillibrand. Now it actually sucks because Kirsten Gillibrand's actually one of the more progressive senators in the Senate. She introduces a lot of legislation with Bernie Sanders. So it would suck because you're taking out the more progressive person out of those two. But it seems to be the only real way. And then after that, at some point, she didn't even have to complete her Senate term. Run for president. And I think she could win in the 2030s. So I think that's what she's trying to gear herself towards. Certainly what she's done up until this point in her political career appears to signal to me that that's what she's attempting to do. But I wouldn't be surprised to see a House run to challenge Chuck Schumer. I would be surprised at that, actually, but it might happen still, even though I'd be surprised. Or Kirsten Gillibrand, or running for president. But she's definitely trying to do that. But very interesting stuff in this Vanity Fair interview.